Hey everyone, Dr. Nuesse from EasyDOTphysicals.com, back again with another video. This one goes out specifically to my viewers who are commercial drivers, and specifically to those drivers who may have some kind of physical disability or limitation that they feel may hinder them passing the DOT physical and getting a medical card. So we're going to talk all about this skill performance evaluation that you may or may not have heard of, this process that the FMCSA has if you've got a physical limitation, who needs it, who doesn't, etc. So I'm going to go over everything that has to do with the skill performance evaluation so you are prepared when you go in to take your DOT physical. So let's first define what a skill performance evaluation is, sometimes known as an SPE. And this is straight from the federal government. So a skill performance evaluation, SPE, is a specialized test required by the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, for commercial drivers with physical impairments like missing limbs to demonstrate their ability to safely operate a commercial motor vehicle despite their limitations. All right, so this is a specialized test that only drivers who have certain limitations physically or disabilities have to undergo. So who are these drivers specifically? So the SPE, the skill performance evaluation, is only for drivers who have an impairment, a limitation, a physical limitation in an extremity. So it has nothing to do with the spine or the trunk. So if you've got a back condition or a neck condition, this does not apply. It has to be either in the arms or the legs. And it also must be what is considered to be a fixed deficit, so something that is not expected to improve. So if you've got an issue that you are dealing with in your arms or in your legs, but it might get better. So like for instance, carpal tunnel syndrome that kind of comes and goes, that will not count. That will not require an SPE. It could be an issue that's separate, and it may ultimately lead to you not being able to get a medical card, but the skill performance evaluation is only for fixed deficits. So think of something like missing a hand or your ankle just not working and not being able to bend, maybe it's fused, those type of things. All right, so let me give you some examples of who an SPE might be applicable for. And we'll start with the upper extremity. So if you are missing a complete part of your arm, your hand, from your elbow, your whole arm, you will certainly fit into this category and you will need an SPE. It's guaranteed. That is a fixed deficit, not having a portion of your arm, a complete portion of your arm. If you're missing your whole hand, that will count. But what about if you're only missing 1 or 2 or 3 fingers? So the FMCSA is pretty clear about this. If you're missing all of your fingers but still have your hand, you will need an SPE. If you are missing 4 fingers and still have 1 finger, then the provider doing the DOT physical can check your grip and see if you have adequate grip and strength to be able to manipulate a steering wheel. And even if you've only got 1 finger on that hand, if the doctor performing the physical feels that you can operate a motor vehicle and use the steering wheel adequately, then he may not send you for an SPE, and he may be able to just pass you without requiring the skill performance evaluation. All right, so on the other hand, no pun intended, let's say that you're not missing anything in your upper extremity, but the mobility and motion is very limited. Like you've got fusion in your wrist, or you've got very limited mobility of your elbow or your shoulder. And again, it's not expected to improve. This may also qualify you for this SPE if the doctor doing the exam feels that it potentially could be unsafe for you to operate a motor vehicle with those deficits. All right, so let's switch down now to the lower extremities. Now, for the lower extremities, it's a little bit different because you can be missing all of your toes and still not be required to have an SPE, where with your hand, if you were missing all of your fingers, you are automatically required to have an SPE, and that's because you don't have to grip anything with your toes. Now, the The doctor doing the exam still may test you being able to move your foot back and forth, up and down to be able to operate the gas pedal or clutch or brake, and he still may require the SPE, but it's not guaranteed just because you're missing all of your toes. But again, the same standard is going to apply with limited range of motion or fusions. So if you can't move your ankle or your hip or your knee is very limited, that may require an SPE. All right, so if a skill performance evaluation is required, what's going to happen? Well, you don't do anything before going in to get your DOT physical. You go in, get your DOT physical, and the doctor doing the exam will examine you and determine if he feels like you need a skill performance evaluation based on your particular condition. If you do, and you're medically qualified for everything else, meaning you can get a medical card besides potentially what your physical limitation is, then he will issue you a medical card there on the spot. And he will check a box on your medical certificate stating that it is required that you have an SPE to go along with your medical certificate. So at this point, your medical certificate is not yet valid. So what needs to happen then is you need to be evaluated typically by an orthopedic surgeon who's familiar with commercial driving, and they will evaluate you and provide you potentially with an SPE if they feel that you can drive safely. And then that SPE is good then for 2 years. So let's say that you only get a 1-year medical card for blood pressure or sleep apnea or for any other reason. You won't then at your next certification need to have another SPE done because the SPE is good for 2 years. An important note here is if you've got a prosthetic device that you need to use to pass the SPE, you will be required then to use that prosthetic device when driving. All right, that's everything about the SPE, the skill performance evaluation. I know this only applies to a small portion of drivers, but I think it's highly misunderstood, this process. Please, if you have questions, something I didn't cover, leave those in the comments section below. Stay subscribed to this channel for updates on standards. And until next time, drivers, stay safe.